Thank you, everyone, for being here and joining us this evening for this event. We are really excited about this evening so that we can share a little bit more about our School of Medicine and the things that make it great. And one of the major things that make our School of Medicine great are our students. Our students come from all over the country and all over our state and represent really diverse experiences and backgrounds. And so when as the Associate Dean of Admissions, I have the great honor of getting to host students when they come to interview. I get to review thousands of applications, nearly 7,000 applications to make it to our class of 190. And I always say that we're looking to recruit a diverse group of curious and caring individuals who wish to impact society through a career in medicine. And there's just so many different ways they can do that. But one of the other amazing things about all of our students that join us is that they're not just good grades or good test scores. They bring this wealth of life experience and talents to our School of Medicine. And so today we wanted to share a different side of our students through this talent presentation. And so I will let you all get started.
Hi, my name is Anish, and I'll be playing a medley of sorts on the piano today.
Hello, my name is Aaliyah Capone. I'm a third-year medical student at UNC, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about one of my hobbies that I picked up a few years ago. I started in my spare time getting into calligraphy and brush lettering, and it's something that I still really enjoy throughout med school when I have downtime, especially when I just want to clear my head. And so today I'm going to go into a little bit about some beginner techniques that I learned when I was starting out, and then show you all how I create something like this. So the first important thing about brush lettering is having the right utensils, and so I like to use these markers that are these dual brush pens made by Tombow, and the reason why is because their tip is really long and flexible. I can like press lightly, or I can press really hard for like a thicker line. And so that's really important, and I'll show you in a second why that's important in doing calligraphy or brush lettering, because you want a difference in the thickness of your strokes. So kind of just to get started, I have these lines drawn here to kind of stay on a straight line, which really helped me when I was beginning. And like I mentioned, you want different thicknesses in your strokes, and so every upstroke you want to be thin, like this, and then downstrokes you want to be thick, like this. Upstrokes, downstrokes. And so that's kind of the first principle. Another really important principle is when you're doing your lettering, you're going to be connecting letters, and so getting comfortable with transitioning between thin and thick strokes. So what I like to do even now still when I just want to get back into practicing is I'll go up and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Kind of do this wave shape. A lot of letters take this shape and require this muscle memory. Okay? And so now I'll show you some letters using this as kind of my middle baseline, and I'll do A. And so this thick downstroke for my B, and then I come up lightly and go down again, thick, thin, thick, thin, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin. You can hit pause. So now I'm gonna kind of go through writing Carolina Medicine and connecting my letters. And this is by no means comprehensive in these techniques. This is a very short video and just kind of like little tidbits that I think are really helpful. So I do my C, and then every letter I have a tail with it so that I can easily connect to my next letter. So this C, I come down thick, I come up thin, and then I take my pen off the table or off the paper, and then I'm gonna start again with going down with this A, and it's nicely connected. And then up thin, down thick, up. There's my R, up, and then I'm taking off my tip, and I go down, up, and it's very common in between letters to take your pen off the paper. And it really helps to make sure you're transitioning between thin and thick strokes. And so then you can kind of see in all of my letters, I have this nice dimensional change between thin and thick strokes, which gives us this nice calligraphy look. So now I'm just going to write a few other phrases and you all can watch them come to life. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Thanks for listening along and happy holidays.
Hi, my name is Amir Feinberg and I'm currently a second-year medical student here at UNC School of Medicine. I grew up predominantly here in North Carolina, in Gaston County actually, and it was there that I found my love for musical theater. I started theater back in, I want to say 3rd grade, and I've been doing it pretty much ever since. In high school, I was able to start doing classical vocal training, and in college, I continued that. I also started doing musical theater in college, and I did a cappella. My a cappella group even got to perform the national anthem at Fenway Park for the opening weekend for the Red Sox. I love singing, and it's not something that I get to do very often anymore, so I was really happy that I was asked to do this. I'm going to be singing 2 songs for you. The first one is called Empty Chairs and Empty Tables from Les Miserables. For those of you who don't know what it's about, it's a beautiful masterpiece of a show. But the central component is that it's really focused around the French Revolution in the early 1800s. It follows several characters, but one of those characters is named Marius. He is a young, smart schoolboy who wants to fight for the people, and he wants to revolt against the system that is right now. They end up creating a barricade in the road and go to battle with the French soldiers, and miraculously he makes it out of there alive. Unfortunately, the rest of his friends aren't so lucky. So this is a song that he is singing to them. There's a grief that can't be spoken. There's a pain goes on and on. Empty chairs at empty tables. Now my friends are dead and gone. Here they talked of revolution. Here it was they lit the flame. Here they sang about tomorrow, but tomorrow never came. From the table in the corner, they could see a world reborn, and they rose with voices ringing, and I can hear them now, the very words that they had sung became their last communion at the lonely barricades at dawn. I know my friends, forgive me that I live and you're gone. There's a grief that can't be spoken. There's a pain goes on and on. Phantom faces at the window. Phantom shadows on the floor. Empty chairs and empty tables where my friends will see no more. Oh, my friends, don't ask me what your sacrifice was for. The next song that I'm going to sing for you is called Run Away With Me. It was written by Kerrigan and Loudermilk, two lesser-known Broadway composers, but it's one of my favorite songs. It's from one of their small musicals called The Mad Ones. This song has kind of become a go-to song for many Broadway tenors, and I thought, you know what, why not add it to my repertoire tonight? So this is Run Away With Me. Let me catch my breath. This is really hard. If I start to look like I'm sweating, well, it's 'cause I am. Oh gosh, I'm no good with words. But that's nothing new. Still, I have to try to explain what I want to do with you. Run away with me. Let me be your ride out of town. Let me be the place that you hide. We can make our lives on the go. Run away with me. Texas in the summer is cool. We'll be on the road like Jack Kerouac. Looking back, Sam, you're ready. Let's go. Throw me the key, run away with me. Sam, I know it's fast, but I'm in love with you. Sam, it's crazy, but Sam, I'm crazier for you. I have these plans, Sam, I have these plans of a house that we build on a bay when we run away. Let me be your ride out of town. Let me be the place that you hide. We can make our lives on the go. Run away with me. Mississippi mud, watch me slide. We'll be on the road like some country song. We'll belong. Sam, you're ready. Let's go. Anywhere. Get the car packed and throw me the key. Run away with me. I'm not trying to make you a wife here. I'm not trying to tie you down. I'm just saying there might be a life here. A new one as soon as we run. Just as soon as we run. Run away. Run away with me. California dreams, here we come. Romeo is calling for Juliet. Ready, set, Sam, you're ready, let's go. Anywhere. Say the word and I'm already there. Run away with me.
Wow, that was really great and very much appreciated. I'm Julie Byerly, and I am fortunate to be the Vice Dean for Academic Affairs at the Medical School at UNC and get to work with these amazing students and faculty and staff on a regular basis. We're grateful that you've chosen to spend time with us this evening, and what we'd really like to do is allow you to ask your questions to our students. And to get you warmed up, in addition to their amazing talents, they also are really incredible people who will be fabulous doctors using both their brains and their hands to make the world a better place through doctoring. So let me invite each of the students with us tonight to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their experience. And while they're doing so, please share questions that you might have for them that I'll help to facilitate. So first, Aaliyah, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Aaliyah Capone. I'm from Cary, North Carolina, so close by. I went to UNC for undergrad and just had to stay for med school. I did spend a little bit of time outside of North Carolina before coming to med school, up in Philadelphia, where I served with the National Health Corps and AmeriCorps program and worked at a city health clinic. And I am currently in my third year here. I just finished up all of my inpatient rotations and now just started our longitudinal outpatient rotation, where I'll be at Prospect Hill Community Health Center, which was the first community health center in North Carolina. I'm very excited to be there. I feel like for my future, I would like to be in some capacity working at a health center. And so I'm excited to be serving with them. And yeah.
That's great. And I was thinking about your hands. That's actually why I said that, because as I was watching your hands doing your calligraphy, I was remembering or thinking about that, of course, doctoring is with our minds and our mouths and our hands as well. So I enjoyed seeing that talent. Thank you for sharing. Amir, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi. Yeah, so my name is Amir Feinberg. I grew up in Gastonia, North Carolina, and then I went to Boston University where I majored in international relations, actually. I kind of decided late in the game, probably it was about senior year, that I wanted to go into the medical field in some capacity. And so I came back home for a year, did some classes at UNCC, but then I spent 2 years doing the Peace Corps in the Republic of Moldova, because to me, global, it's something that I've always wanted to do. And so I figured, you know what, why not do it before medical school? Right now in medical school, I'm just finishing up my preclinical years. I have my final for my last big preclinical block on Monday morning, and then I'm going to be starting to study for step 1, which is crazy to believe that it is already happening. I'm taking that in February. But I'll be then doing my application phase up in Asheville. So I'm really excited for that next phase of my life.
That's great. And certainly I hope that you will get to keep singing at each phase, especially singing while you're studying for step 1 for sure.
It helps, hopefully, yeah.
Sam, thank you for being here. Tell us about yourself. And also, why don't you spend a little bit of time talking about some of the things that you like to do outside of medical school too, in addition to telling us where you are in the curriculum.
Sure. So I'm Sam Rains. I'm from Chapel Hill originally. I grew up just 4 miles down the road from UNC hospitals, actually. I also went to UNC for undergrad, and UNC sort of runs in my family, so I had to come here for med school too. My dad and my aunt also went to UNC for medical school, and my mom did a residency here, so we just are bananas about UNC. Let's see. I took a gap year between starting here in medical school. During undergrad, I was really passionate about HIV research, and I worked at UNC again in the HIV Cure Center, trying to research therapeutics related to reservoir or eliminating the HIV reservoir. That was really cool, and I'm hoping to do the CMSRP program this summer and continue researching there. With regards to where we're at in our curriculum right now, we're almost done with our cardiology block. We've got a big exam on Monday, so hopefully that goes well. But after that, looking forward to learning about respiratory and renal and everything else in the spring. And then for fun, I like playing guitar. I must admit I didn't submit a video because I'm a bit rusty. I haven't been playing as much since we started school, and I'm a little nervous playing in front of people, but I love guitar, and I also love reading and taking walks. And I think that's it, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And what we'd like to do now is have a conversation, and certainly, Dr. Rockandali, I welcome your contributions to the conversation as well. But one of the things that we talk a lot about in doctoring these days is how exhausting it is, especially during a pandemic. And one of the things that I find so refreshing is how our medical students come to this potentially exhausting profession with such enthusiasm and energy and drive. And I like to believe that one of the ways that we each maintain our energy and enthusiasm for this work that takes a lot out of you is by continuing to be our whole selves through medical school, residency, and beyond. So can any of you talk a little bit about how you weave together your scholarly activities in medical school, your doctoring in the clinical environment, especially for you, Aaliyah, since you're in that phase of the curriculum, and the extra parts of things that you love, like your talents and other things that you do to restore your soul outside of the good work that we get to do in the clinical and educational environment?
I can begin. So luckily for me, the thing that I get the most joy out of is singing, and I don't really need anything else other than myself to do that. So much to my roommate's dismay, you will hear me singing pretty much 24/7 as I'm studying. And so I will always have music playing in the background, or I'll go on a drive if I need to. During this COVID times and quarantining and trying to stay away from people has been really hard for me. I consider myself probably the biggest extrovert you can think of. And so not being able to go out and see my friends and study and be on campus with people has been really difficult. And so this has been one thing that I can do and really try and really focus on. Something that's been hard for me the past year, honestly, has been remembering that these small details that I'm learning about these small genetic disorders or these very specific illnesses are applicable because we're going to be studying to be working with people. And I think in these preclinical years, it's really hard because we don't get to see the patients that we're going to be working with. And so something else that I've kind of been doing, or that I've tried to do, is volunteer at SHAC as much as I possibly can, because and I'm part of the SHAC XYZ, which focuses more on HIV and other STIs, but just trying to get as much experience with patients to see and understand what impact we're going to be having. I think that really helps ground me in what we're doing now.
That's great, and thanks for bringing that up. That actually engaging with patients is one of the ways that you find meaning and round out your experiences from the foundation phase. Certainly, Aaliyah, you know lots about SHAC. Aaliyah, why don't you talk about your role as the fairly recently named SHAC CEO for 2021, and tell us a little bit about what you're working on in that area.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing, Amir. I felt similarly in preclinical time. Like, I really liked spending my time outside of school, getting connected to patients and being involved in SHAC, because I felt like it was giving a lot more meaning to learning from in the classroom. And so I also was involved with SHAC XYZ, with HIV and STI counseling, and I was also a part of the triage team, and then did some MTJ, which is like our role as a medical student. You can, in the preclinical years, you can see patients. And so being involved in that kind of led me to apply for the CEO position this year. And right now we're just kind of transitioning power over, or not power, which transitioning roles over. And so kind of just getting used to steering the ship. And there's a lot of programs involved with the Shack Medical Clinic, and then also kind of affiliated programs that aren't actually with the clinic itself, but like community outreach programs. And so the CEO role kind of oversees all of those programs and lend support and guidance where it's needed. And so I've kind of just been taking that all in right now. I'm really excited. I think prior to starting medical school, I just knew that one of like my goals throughout school was to be able to make an impact in the community. It was something that was really important to me up in Philadelphia and something that I wanted to carry throughout. And I'm actually in this care of the underserved populations track. And so that has kind of been like a framework of my medical school experience. And so I'm really glad to be involved with Shack, and it's been really meaningful work.
Well, I'm glad that it is so meaningful to you. It's certainly meaningful to the community that you serve, and it is meaningful to our School of Medicine community, certainly. So
that's one of the reasons why I picked UNC to come here.
Great.
Yeah, and I think most of us know that Shack is the first student-run clinic in the country, and then it has been modeled all over the country since it was started in the 1970s. So it's great that our students are still taking the lead with that.
Right. I love about our students that we really have a commitment to service, which you've each illustrated. We also have a commitment to research. And Sam, when you were talking about your experiences of interest, you mentioned that you'd previously done some research, and you mentioned that you're interested in the CMSRP. And I'm betting that not everyone in our audience knows what the CMSRP is. It's the Carolina Medical Student Research Program. But tell us a little bit about how you are putting research into your medical school experience and how that might end up influencing your career long term.
So the CMSRP is a program that allows students, I think around like 8 to 10 weeks over the summer after their first year, to do a guided research project. And I think it's really helpful for people that have experience in research and either know a PI or people just wanting to experience a different type of research. I'm really interested in infectious disease personally at this stage, and HIV research. So I'm hoping to go on and hopefully continue some projects over the summer there. And then sort of an aside, I was just messaging Amir a second ago. I've been hoping to get involved with Shack XYZ. I'm sort of still at the start of things, so I'm not as involved with stuff as others might be. But I've done some food deliveries with the Shack program, and I've met some of the people, and they seem really, really awesome. And I'm hoping in the spring to get involved in the clinic a bit and get some more patient interaction. But with regards to research and I guess my career in the future, I'm not completely sure what I want to do yet at this stage, but I know I really like research, and I've seen a lot of the sort of hybrid clinical research jobs different people can have. So I'm definitely interested in that, and I want to make sure that I keep fostering my love of research while I'm in med school. So I think the CMSRP will be a good chance to do that.
That's great. And so we've talked about how you're well-rounded to maintain your wellness and well-being, how you're committed to community service, both here locally and with past experiences like Amir's work all across the globe. Another thing that I want to highlight and hear each of you speak about just a little bit is how you're each leaders. And Aaliyah, you talked about your leadership of Shack. I know you have other leadership experiences as well. Certainly Amir is a recognized leader in student government. I'd love for you to talk about that leadership. And I have a feeling that, Sam, your past leadership track record through the university sets you up to be quite the leader in our medical school as well. So I'd like to hear each of you talk about your perspective as a student leader. And Amir, why don't you go first?
Absolutely. So I am about to finish my term as one of the co-foundation phase presidents. So foundation phase is the first preclinical portion of our curriculum. And I, along with another student, Oatman Jadi, we have been the co-presidents. And it's been such an amazing opportunity because I've been able to really get to know the amazing, amazing, amazing faculty and administration that we have here at UNC. And this past year has obviously been a little different than so many of us expected. And so while we didn't get to do some of the normal things that we would be doing as presidents, such as organizing events in the fall, or really helping to welcome the current MS1 class, we did get to work really closely with foundation phase leadership to kind of figure out how we're going to be doing a virtual curriculum. So I felt really, I felt very responsible, and I was able to talk to a lot of the students, get their input, talk to the faculty, get their input. And so I've really enjoyed being able to find this place that we currently have. And I think that, you know, no one thought that going through medical virtually was going to be easy, but I think that together we've really been able to create something that has been successful, I hope. But I've really enjoyed my time with student government, and I'm really hoping to continue working within student government because I think it's so important, not only for the current medical students, but also for our future patients, because we are working to get us better equipment at school, but also to learn with new techniques and to improve upon the current curriculum. And so it's something that I really hope to continue.
Well, you certainly are helping us to improve the curriculum, and your leadership is really important. And it advances a tradition here at our medical school of our students making us stronger, not only by their presence and the vibrancy that they bring to the community, but by their wisdom and sharing feedback on the strengths that we have in the curriculum and what gaps they see and things that we need to address and fill and change and so forth. So Amir, you're quite the skilled leader, and your wisdom that you bring to that endeavor is much appreciated. You make us stronger, so thanks. Aaliyah, talk a little bit about your leadership and what that adds to your experience, not just about SHAC, but how does being a leader influence your experience at the medical school here?
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about my role in the advisory colleges. It's kind of like a more recent, I think, addition to UNC, the advisory college system, but we kind of like equate it to kind of like Hogwarts houses and Harry Potter. But it's a great way for community building through the different classes in med school. And so during foundation phase, I was the advocate for my college DMIC, and then I've also am one for application phase. And basically our role is to kind of be like a soundboard, someone who can pass on some advice to the class below us. And so I've really enjoyed being in this role. We do like monthly meetings, monthly lunches, and pre-COVID, we were able to do that in person. And we would like host little community building activities, like whether it was like going to get ice cream or like decorating pumpkins, things like that. And I just have always enjoyed the community building aspect at UNC and feeling like really close to my peers, and then wanting to also create that for the classes under me. And so also with that, I helped with Lake Weekend last year for the class of 2023, which was really fun. And I think one of the things that makes UNC so special is the people. And so getting to like foster a really great environment for those people to thrive and feel connected is something that's been really awesome during my med school experience. And then of course, like adjusting that to the new COVID way of life has been challenging, but also, I think just being supportive for all of the incoming faces through Zoom has been enjoyable.
Well, you're right that the culture that we create, I guess as here at Carolina, we talk about the low stone walls and the collaborative culture and how we reach across the walls and help each other step across the walls and help each other and collaborate. And the students in the med school classes having that spirit of cooperation, collaboration, and helping each other really makes the environment one that supports wellness and encourages us all to do our part in service to the community. So the student advocates within each advisory college really advance that culture and establish that culture for the first year students. Thanks for that, Aaliyah. Sam, what do you see as you, as a first year student emerging into potential leadership in the School of Medicine? Do you have comments you'd like to share?
Sure. So I think just generally leadership to me, I think really means listening, waiting and thinking about things that are going on and connections that you can make between different groups and different people. I know in the past I've tried to get some of the groups I was involved with in undergrad and in leadership positions with, try and get them connected. And I think a lot of times different groups can help solve each other's problems. So that's sort of about undergrad. And then just recently, I joined the Student National Medical Student Association, or the SNMA, which is predicated on facilitating medical students' experience in historically Black medical students and underrepresented in medicine. And I'm now on the executive board as the parliamentarian. So I'll be making sure that they follow all the guidelines. But also, as being on the executive board, I'm going to learn a ton and just get to listen to the experiences of my fellow students, something that I'm really looking forward to. And I'd say that's my number one thing for being a leader is just listening and making sure you're paying attention to what's going on and thinking about ways you can improve things.
That's fabulous. Thank you. And thank you also for highlighting the diversity of our community and how important that is as we work toward a more equitable world. So I think in this brief amount of time together, we've had the opportunity to illustrate some of my favorite things about UNC School of Medicine. One is that the group of individuals that make up our medical school is such an amazingly talented, diverse group that does a lot of different things. They bring together, brains and skills, but also lots more. And that, again, makes our community vibrant. We're appreciative of all that support. We're appreciative of how our students step up and build the culture that we want to sustain, help each other, help our communities, be of service to the underserved, and advance science. And it makes our place a great place to be. Lisa, I'll turn it over to you to talk about how in the world you bring in these great students into our medical school that keeps this tradition alive.
Well, it's our students that attract other students. We have a very robust, in the pre-COVID times, interview day where they get to spend a lot of time with our faculty and students. And I believe most current students say that that community feeling is what attracted them to our school when they were considering others as well. And so we've had to adjust just like everyone else in this time of COVID in order to still be able to get through approximately 650 interviews in the season. And they're all virtual now, but we've done really neat things like our students, I think, Amir, you're in the virtual video. So we do a virtual tour of the campus. And so the applicants are able to go to a building, turn around 360 degrees, go into a building. There are little stethoscopes that are hidden so they can learn fun facts about Carolina, and they get to meet several of our students. So we've done that. We still have interactive sessions where the applicants interact with each other, but they, will use a whiteboard in order to interact rather than a piece of paper. And so we've tried to create the community as much as we can, and use breakout rooms and all the different tools that Zoom can afford us to get that spirit. But yeah, we are lucky to have a great community, a very strong foundation through the research and the service opportunities, the public health school that's right across the street, and that's attracts many of our students in order to build our class. We also are very grateful to supporters who provide scholarship money to be able to help our students, to support them in the cost of higher education and to be able to attract them to come to our school as well. That's really critical when we're talking about a talented group like the students that come to UNC. So I can't help but make sure to be thankful for all the supporters out there in Chapel Hill and beyond. And so with that, I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our panelists and our performers for being here tonight, and also just thank you for attending, giving us your time on a Friday evening. And on behalf of the Med Foundation, we'd like to be able to have more events like this that would be of interest. And certainly with in the time of COVID, I think we all need something to refresh us and remind us about all the good reasons we're here together when we don't get to see people in person. And so if you have access to the survey that they've sent you about what you'd enjoy, that would be really helpful information to be able to support future programs. So, Dr. Byerly, do you have anything else to add?
Just thanks to each of you for being here and for all that you do. And I wish we could shake hands or give hugs, but until then, it's great to see the faces I can see. And for those of you watching, thank you again for your support and participation.
Great. Have a good night.